News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbert with darkoakmedia.com.
And man, have I been, and I'm Maximilian, and man, have I been waiting to wish you all a happy belated World Hippo Day.
Oh,
I know.
Wow. No,
Allan and I,
hippo, Allan.
Allan texted me on Wednesday, and I was like, hey, guess what? It's World Hippo Day. And it's like, I'm like, now you know. He's like, well, there's always a Joe.
Wow, Hippo. You know, when I was a baby, my nickname was Hippo Joe. That's what they called me.
I can believe that, yeah.
Hippo.
Yep.
Now, do tell, Max. Of course, when I ask you to tell, you go, well, that's all there is. So,
No, there's much more to this.
Well, the question arises is how do you celebrate it?
I mean, I'd say we take a trip to the zoo and go visit the hippos.
Or go visit your mother-in-law.
Yeah, are the mother-in-law jokes still allowed in this day and age? I know Click and Clack did those quite a bit.
Yeah, mixed emotions, watching your new car go over a cliff with your mother-in-law in it.
Oh,
yes,
man, well,
that's their joke, not mine. That's their joke.
Well, if you want to call or text us and let us know how you're celebrating International Hippo Day, you can get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 or go to Tool Talk Radio's Facebook page. And there's good reason to go there anyway, Allan. I made 3 posts this morning.
No, you've been a busy camper.
I posted our must-have item of the week. I posted a video about our great moments in building history, and Allan, you and I are both in agreement on this.
Yeah.
This is a very modern construction. This was 2017.
Yes,
Apple Park,
ongoing. It's still ongoing, even. You know,
I don't know how I didn't know about this, but I just discovered it. The algorithms showed me this on YouTube, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is fascinating." Apple Park has got wide-ranging applications.
Yeah.
It's we salute it, and it's got a lot of applications for design in your own home. It's gonna be a great discussion. I'm looking forward to that. Allan's week in review, huh? How much do I want to tease about this? Because we'll probably get to half of it. Plumbing, slime molds, and cleaning your toolbox. Okay.
Yes.
What a weekend. Allan, Allan lives never mind. But this I'm trying to be cautious about not over teasing. We have some tool tales that we didn't get to that we probably need to follow up on. And I've got I was on a really interesting project doing some unique demolition work, and I think I'm gonna chime in with that. But so we've got quite a bit coming at you today. But Allan, I wanted to follow up on last week's we did our first live broadcast of the year last week at the home show over at the Agri Center, and it merited discussion. And a lot of people dropped by the booth. It was really nice. I just want to put this out there right now. Somebody came by the booth while we were broadcasting, so I wasn't able to talk to you know how that is. They walk up and you're talking and you're trying to do that, he handed me this really beautiful, it looks like some lathe work. This is a little, now I'm not one with the mini lathe. My lathe is pretty big, but whoever you are, you handed me this. It's made of ebony. It's a little round, I'd almost call it a pillbox or something. I was showing everybody and they just said, man, that is beautiful. So whoever you were, get in touch with me. I give my number out anyway. You can call me directly at 901-921-7105. And I wanted to learn more about this. But, I hate when somebody gives you a gift and you can't thank them for it. But
it's like the perfect size for like Carmex or something. I mean, it's just this beautiful, tiny. I mean, it's not big.
No, it's really nice, though. And it says ebony at the bottom. So
the work is amazing.
Yeah, it screws together. It's great. So I did want to put that out. Whoever, I'm assuming they listen. Or,
Well, obviously, they had to be a fan. And for those of you that are listening for the first time this week from meeting us at the show, welcome. We hope we live up or down to your expectations.
Yeah, Allan, I want to get your thoughts, but first I had this is a listener question. Like a nice woman named I think her name was Barbara came up to me. I had several questions about Max.
Right.
I guess, Max, you got yourself a fan base over there. But Barbara...
Max is quite questionable.
Barbara was really, I guess for people that aren't in radio and stuff, they're curious about how it actually works. And she was very curious about what you do behind the glass during the show. She was wanting to know a little more. So is there something you can tell us without giving away too many trade secrets?
Well... just to kind of give Barbara a perspective of where I'm sitting right now. Where I'm sitting right now, Barbara, I have 3 computers in front of me, and in front of one of those computers, I could see the entire layout of the clock and everything. And so one of my jobs as a producer is to watch the clock and make sure these chowder heads get out in time. And also also a wonderful part of this computer screen is I have I have like a library of hotkeys that I consult, and I can just kind of press and skim through them and everything. So whenever we're about to transition to a different segment, I hit one of those hotkeys and everything, and it produces the sound from the board.
Why don't you hit a hotkey and give her an example?
Sure. Let me pull up one real quickly.
Okay. Because
so this is just an example of a hotkey that I press for 30 Years of Stupid.
Looks like a loose nail.
Yeah, 1 out of 25 ain't bad.
I don't know how
kind
hot
of a
it
peek
is, but
behind
yeah.
the curtain.
Yeah. Because you're sort of the conductor. If this was a symphony, right? You're sort of doing that. I don't know.
Oh, now he's going to want a stick.
Yeah.
I have a stick. It's called a Joe staff, and I use it in martial arts.
Is it hard to focus when you're talking and having to do this at the same time?
Not really. You kind of get used to it.
Okay. I mean, he's good at multitasking. I'll give him that. So, any other thing you want to share with Barbara about that?
Let me think. I can't really think of anything else off the fly.
Okay. Well, Barbara, you were really nice. You and your husband came up and
thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, and other people were asking about you too, Max. So I guess, like I said, I don't know. Maybe we need a T-shirt for him or something. So
no, you probably don't want a T-shirt.
It's his little eyes poking up over the wall, says behind the glass.
Well, it's like that Kilroy was here thing from World War II.
Yep.
Allan, it's nice to meet the listeners, and it's nice to hear their feedback. And what kind of things were you hearing while you were in the booth? You were Allan was giving away a lot of swag. So,
I was.
A Dark Oak swag too, because I mean, you that's your thing. That's your baby, Dark Oak Media. So,
tooltalkradio.com, geektankradio.com. We were having a great time. I guess the thing that stood out the most was the number of people that walked over and went, "Oh my goodness, I just moved here. I didn't know you were here."
Yeah.
And that was the big one that struck me, was just a lot of people have apparently moved to Memphis recently.
Right.
Apparently we have quite an insurgence taking place, and a lot of people were just discovering us and just absolutely just delighted that we're here and doing what we do. So that was a lot of fun.
It was cool hearing, too, that some people said, well, could you do some more of these segments? And as a matter of fact, I want to say Barbara was a big fan of our Great Moments in Building History.
Yes.
She said that she's really enjoying those. So, but we're always expanding and growing. If you've got ideas for, if you've got
Ask
ideas
us a
for
question.
that. I was getting texted throughout the home show because Robbie, our devoted Facebook follower and everybody, he was trying to get there, but duty called. I guess his work. He's like, "How long are you going to be there? What time are you guys leaving?" And apparently, he got tied up on a job and never made it. So, Robbie, we'll be doing other live remotes. We hope you'll drop by. So, but one thing I heard quite a bit, Allan, and I feel like we need to, make a point of reminding people. I would hear people say, "Oh yeah, I missed that show. I never heard what happened, and it sounded interesting, but I only caught half of it." I'm like, "Well, you can listen to any show." Anytime, 24 hours a day, you can go to YouTube or Spotify or any of the platforms. Go to tooltalkradio.com. But
click the links. You can honestly binge us for, at this point, I think days.
Yeah, I think
we're well over.
Oh yeah.
I think we're well over like 48 hours of content at this point.
But do they want to keep their sanity?
Well, actually, I had a number of people, and this is very bizarre, tell me at the show that they would kick the show on in the background, just kind of like a certain level of background sound.
Yeah.
Because apparently our voices are rather soothing, Joe.
I don't know about that, but Allan, your math is awful. It's much more than 48. I don't know where your math is, but it's a lot.
Oh yeah, we probably had about a week of content up there as I sit here and do a little mental math going 2 hours a week plus the number of years we've been doing this. So there's a huge content backlog there for you.
And one other thing that was fun is our buddy, they set us up next to our buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling, and boy, that guy, I don't know where he gets his energy. The whole
a lot
weekend,
of candy bars.
I was watching, watching his booth, which was busy the whole time, and then he'd pop in and see that. But the other part was, of course, Mrs. Brown. We finally got to get Mrs. Brown on the air, which was very interesting, and we had a really great talk with her and Larry Brown. They got there on time. You know, they didn't pull the whole thing of getting there 5 minutes before we're off the air. So it was great, man. And I guess we're going to be doing probably more this year than we did last year.
Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, these are great. So thanks again to everybody that dropped in and said hello, you know, at the home show of the Mid-South. So, Allan, okay, so let's just get this out. I don't want to say get this out of the way, but this is something that really intrigued me because of the simplicity of this, and I didn't give you any warning, Max, but you wanted to do a salute. You wanted to salute a particular item, if you remember.
Oh, my gosh,
and I think we should do that now.
I think we should.
I used it yesterday, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
You did.
So,
do we do the big reveal?
I don't know. I didn't give Max
a little drum roll here. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, you know.
Anyway, just go ahead.
He looks intense. I'm not sure.
I didn't warn him, so go ahead.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about the moving blanket.
Yeah. Tell people what that is. Not everybody might know. I mean,
a moving blanket is a non-woven, multi-layered blanket that we use for sound deadening, protecting stuff. And in general, I believe if you had one of these, you could survive anywhere in the universe.
Oh, these things are great. Yeah, they're kind of thick, you know.
They're thick,
they're
they're
combination
heavy.
drop cloth, combination protection, sort of, yeah.
You know, for my SCA buddies out there, their armor, for all the rest of us, they protect everything we do. And, you know, case in point, used one yesterday, had a load of rock to move, and nothing with a solid bottom in it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Didn't have a trailer with a lattice, not a bottom.
I don't.
So if you took a shovel of rock and threw it on there, they're just going to fall through the lattice.
Okay, gotcha.
Throw the moving blanket on it, you instantly have a traveling trailer. Load the rock up on it, and when you're almost done, instead of having to chase the little pieces around, you just pick up the edges and pull it off the end and shake it out, and no more rocks.
I would say
it was just the work saved was astounding.
I would say, because the other thing about a moving blanket is it's just that little bit thicker than a drop cloth, and it basically can do the same job as a drop cloth.
Yes.
But if you drop a tool on it, or if you it within reason, it'll protect your floors a little better. It's a little more comfortable to kneel on.
Oh yes,
and especially if you fold it twice or something like that. And I guess in a pinch, man, it'll keep you warm if your truck breaks down.
I use them a lot around tile.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah. So
especially
you have a hammer, you're doing something, and then you've got tile under it. You don't want to drop that on a drop cloth. So,
I've even doubled and tripled them up when working in bathrooms to like cover of. All right, one real basic rookie mistake.
Yeah.
People dump too much stuff into the tub.
Oh, yeah.
While they're knocking down tile and that kind of stuff, and it ends up weighing tons, and it's got little sharp edges, and it starts cutting the plastic you wrap things in.
Sure.
Wrap it in a moving blanket.
Yeah.
Those things, you could smuggle people with those things. Oh my gosh, they are so tough.
Yeah.
But they also are very edge resistant because they're multiple layers of material.
Well, yeah, there's like a foam layer and everything like that. So.
And they're crossed layers. In a lot of ways, it's kind of a cloth version of plywood.
Right. Yep.
Very durable, very tough, and really last. I mean, this is another thing. These don't tear up easily.
No, they're great, man.
I've had a couple of them for over 10 years.
I used it yesterday. I was using it because I was doing some demo work, which I'll discuss in a minute here. But basically, I didn't want when things go flying, I don't want them to hit the wall or something like that. So you can basically hang it and create like a curtain sort of thing.
Oh, yes.
And so when things hit it, it just hits the moving blanket, drops, and everything like that.
It dissipates the energy.
Right.
And a quick, cheesy, easy way of doing that is just basically setting up a laundry line.
Sure, yeah. Or just tape it,
just
whatever.
Just put you a pole or whatever, tape them up. They're kind of heavy, so they usually need some decent support. But it's hard to describe to somebody when you're tearing something out and you have an area you really want to protect.
Yeah.
something, Joe, you and I both know this just as an absolute certainty. Something is going to come flying off the side you're working on and go hurtling towards the sugar bowl or something breakable or scratchable on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And having anything, and to give you guys an idea how tough these blankets can be, you could hang one up and throw a baseball at it at point blank range, and I promise you that ball is just going to hit the ground.
Yeah.
It dissipates energy perfectly.
No, they're awesome, and so we definitely wanted to salute that. And if you've got any good stories of how a moving blanket saved you or made your life easier, let us know. So get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. Allan, I want, because I know I always over tease stuff, so I want to get to everything today that we were going to discuss. I don't think I teased this, but I want to just update some people.
Okay.
So, as for the last however many months, I'm doing my kitchen remodel. If you think that I'm just dragging my feet, the thing is I only can work on it one day a week.
Right.
So,
a
however,
couple hours at a time.
It's coming along. I'd say I'm about 80 or 90% done. But I had this observation, Allan. So if you're new to Tool Talk Radio, I'm basically remodeling my entire kitchen, and we our house was built in 1952, and there was a lot of outdated things.
Right.
However, our cabinets are very solid, so I replaced the cabinet doors, and I'm painting the outside of the cabinets and cleaning them up and everything. And you can't even tell, because the doors I ordered are that shaker style, and I ordered them big with the hidden hinges, so it basically covers almost the entire frame.
Right.
And I did that on purpose because I'm like, well, then, all you're seeing are the doors and everything. Right. So I'm at a point, and then we have this really cool white subway tile with the kind of a neat design. And it's funny, Allan, for the last however many months, I've had the tile up forever, but I haven't grouted it yet.
Right.
Well, last weekend, I finally grouted the tile, and I just want to remind people that even this is non-sanded grout, because I have very small grooves and
tear them hands up.
And even non-sanded grout can still cut your hand. And the thing, my fingers are just healing now, Allan, on my fingertips, because I hate wearing gloves to do that. And sometimes there's that one area that you can't reach with the trowel. You got to just literally put it in with your your hands and get it in the grooves and everything. And it is pretty painful, I'm not going to lie. So it's like you may want to just wear the gloves when you do that. But my observation was what a huge, shocking difference it made when I put because we're using white grout. And you wouldn't think it's going to make that big of a difference, but it changed the whole kitchen.
It does.
Just
really
that
does.
grout. It looks clean. It looks I don't know, man. It's the same with paint. I don't know if you've been on jobs like this, Allan, where you're doing a remodel and you've gutted everything, you've redone the whole, whatever, you've put all this new work into it, and then probably the last 5% is the painting.
Yes.
But it doesn't look like anything until you paint it.
Yes.
Once you paint it, it's like this looks like a completely new kitchen. So,
well, I'm going to give you a trick for your fingertips, though, Joe.
Okay, good.
They make basically paint-on Band-Aids.
Oh, talk
Instant
to me.
Skin.
What are those?
It's called Instant Skin. And you just kind of paint it over like your little boo-boo, and it makes a little paint-on Band-Aid on it.
Oh,
I will use Instant Skin. No.
Yeah.
I will use Instant Skin to cover my fingertips when I do have to work on something like that, so I still have all the tactile ability, but I don't have the detriment of wearing big old gloves.
That's a good tip, because I always wonder, it's like, at some point, when I've got those big rubber gloves on, I'm just like, okay, it's sweaty for one thing.
Right.
It's uncomfortable. I can't move the way I want to, and I usually just take them off and say, well, I'll pay the price later. You have to suffer for your art.
Right.
But that's a good tip, Allan. So, and then how do you get it off? Does it wash
Just
off?
peel off.
Oh.
It's just a little paint on, a little peel off. And they also sell little basically rubberized thimbles at your pharmacies.
I've seen those.
And
Don't
those also work pretty good.
People that do a lot of sewing use those things?
Yeah. And
Okay.
those actually do a fairly decent job, but I personally find that I like the liquid Band-Aid, liquid bandage on the fingertips, and then I can really get up in there and do that really tiny work in that little far corner that you just can't reach well.
Does that work with sanded grout as well?
Yeah. You just may have to reapply.
I think the other part of that, Alan, is not to beat this into the ground, but when you're working with tile, there's always some little very minute sharp edge that you're not.
Yes.
It looks smooth, but you don't think it. And you're running your fingertips across it, and that's what it is. So, but I was just, I'm just reminded. It's funny when it's funny what a difference the finishing work makes, and so I think that's another reason that sometimes when I'm doing a project like this, I skip ahead. Like I might do it in stages. Like I might just do the finishing work in some areas just to kind of give you a sense of, okay, well, this is what it's going to look like. Because, the way I'm even painting this the kitchen is there's areas that are painted just because I got tired of the other work. So I said, well, painting's easy. I'm going to just do that. But I'm hoping to have this done in the next month. And, we'll have to have a party because, Alan, I'm not a good cook. My wife cooks, but I want you to
cook.
Pull up, bring the food dude.
I will be happy to cook.
That, so.
Yes.
But, it was great. So, once again, if you've got anything interesting to tell us, if you've got these little hacks like Alan's got, get in touch with us today at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. And once again, thanks to everybody that visited us last week at the home show, and we've got more to come. So we were just talking to Ditch about that earlier.
Oh, yeah, so, I'm excited about this year. I'm very excited.
I guess, Alan, let's get this, I don't want to say get this out of the way, but when we come back, let's see what Alan was doing this week in Alan's Week in Review. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Gonna paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of being on a paint job with Allan. I mean, he just sings his way through, so very annoying, but he gets the job done, so whatever it takes. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook and check out the action over there. There's quite a few posts that I've already made. And just a reminder, because some people were asking us about this, Allan, yes, if you miss any of Tool Talk Radio, never fear. You can check us out. Go to either tooltalkradio.com or go to Spotify or go to YouTube or any of those platforms, and you can check out any of our past shows. So, and hear what we were discussing.
But can indeed.
While we were at break, Max, apparently our text line has been fairly active, and now I've heard of. Okay. Max, what do you got? And it's very interesting. So
it's rather apropos. Well, first I wanted to give a shout out to 732, our buddy Agent 732, because they never give us our name yet. But anyways, they said
we need a T-shirt for Agent 732.
We do.
Okay,
yeah. We're going to have to.
What did the agent have to say today, Max?
It said, I worked on a play once where an actor had to fall off a platform, and the theater didn't have any crash pads, so they used moving blankets. It was a 4-foot fall into a big box full of fluffed moving blankets, dispersed the energy amazingly.
Huh.
Well, there we go.
I like moving blankets, but I don't know. I think I'd rather have like big foam things.
Yeah,
we're
not advocating that, but I'm glad it worked.
4 foot, that's a pretty good drop.
That's a pretty good drop.
I don't know. Agent 732, I'd like to, I don't know, man.
I'm glad your legs were okay.
Yeah, okay. But once again, the versatility of a moving blanket.
Oh, they're wonderful.
But this next one is pretty juicy, Max.
This is where things get juicy.
Yeah.
Thanks to our buddy Keith, they texted in, today is National Drink Wine Day. That's pretty good. Get ready to unwind with it.
That's fine, yeah.
But this
Joe's over there, yeah, whatever.
This is the kicker. This is the one that got Joe moving. It said, cow milked while flying in an airplane day. And it says, get ready to be amused by Elm Farm Ollie's calmness and massive generosity.
Wait. Say that. Okay. So, we had to investigate. So, I don't know what the acronym is. Cow milked while flying in an airplane day.
CMWFAD.
Okay, so Matt, this is apparently a real event that happened, and they commemorated it with a,
well, it's pretty historic. How many other cows have been milked on an
airplane? First of all, why are there cows on airplanes? Why? And back in 1930?
All right. Well,
holy smokes!
Understand the era,
Yeah.
there was a lot of aeronautical stunts going on.
Oh, that's
Think about
when
all
those-
your stunt pilots
Yeah.
and all of the people we see in the movies.
Or that guy who dropped chocolate after World War II from the Candyman and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So
to the
there
Easter
were
restaurant
a
people.
lot
Right.
of these type of stunts going on.
Well, it was still a new phenomenon.
Well, and
Airplanes
airplanes
were a big
really
deal.
pretty
Yeah.
radical. And if you've ever been to an air show, they're still a lot of fun.
Sure.
What I'm dying to know is the cow's name was L Farm Ollie, but was also known as Nellie J and Sunnymead Ollie, and was later known as the Sky Queen.
No kidding. I mean,
It got
this
some
cow would have
nicknames.
been a celebrity.
So this cow's got like aliases and stuff.
Wow.
But apparently she was extremely productive. Like they had to milk her like 3 times a day.
was it out of fright or just showing off or what?
just the cow was an overachiever.
Yeah.
So old Ellsworth W. Bunce is the guy who owned the cow and milked it.
Ellsworth's a great name.
Ellsworth W. Bunce.
Wow.
So they take off from Bismarck, Missouri, and they flew 72 miles, and she produced 24 quarts of milk in this flight. And then to add to the stunt, as he was milking, they were putting it in little milk containers with parachutes on them and chucking them out of the plane.
Like the Hunger Games. Okay.
So-
Wow. That's
It just
what a stunt.
so milking the cow, and the thing is, the cow was like completely chilled and groovy the whole time. The cow's like, all right, we're in a plane, whatever.
Well, dogs love being in the back of a truck and just sticking their face in the wind and everything. So maybe the cow was in her element. So.
I just see this cow with her head out the window, and the airplane is
Wow.
So 72-mile flight.
This was before PETA came along.
Oh, this is a long time
I just
before.
keep hearing Tom Petty's Free Fall. And then
The number of health regulations this violated alone is legendary.
Yeah, okay. This was not homogenized milk, right?
Well, and it was part of the International Air Exposition in St. Louis, Missouri. So they flew around it a couple of times, dropping milk bombs.
See, here's the bigger spectacle to me, Allan. A group of people in a boardroom had to. Somebody had to have the idea. He or she had to pitch the idea to a group of organizers and get it approved and make the. I mean, I'd like to have seen what that pitch meeting looked like.
Well, and from a purely tool talk point of view,
right?
There's a lot of logistics that went into getting this to happen.
Yeah.
So you think getting your cat to a vet is difficult?
Holy smokes!
Try getting your cow on a plane with a milker and packaging and parachutes, and you only got 72 miles till you land at the Air Expo.
Yeah, how is this not a Hollywood movie right now?
Somebody needs to make this into a movie. It's all I got to say.
All right, well, Agent 732, once again, boy, that is an epic.
That was Keith.
I'm sorry, Keith. Okay, well, Agent 732, you got some competition out there. So
step it up, partner. Step it up.
That beautiful text, boy. That's
wow.
That's really good to know, man.
It kind of puts my World Hippo Day thing to shame.
Yeah, I think Max, you've got
nobody
got
milked a hippo on an airplane. I promise you.
Yeah, although
Not
hippos
yet.
are pretty awesome. I love hippos.
Yeah, but a hippo will eat you.
It's funny. They say more people are killed by hippos every year than
they are. They are remarkably ill-tempered in the wild
and fast. And if you think you can outswim a hippo, think again.
No,
those guys are.
They'll outrun you, outswim you, trample you, do bad things to you.
Yeah.
However, in captivity, they have a lot of personality.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you know who's never, to my knowledge, tried to milk a cow while flying in an airplane? Our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. Not to say he wouldn't do it. If that's what it took to get the job done, I think he would.
Well, that airplane would be cool.
Yeah, I mean. But
if it needed to refrigerate it, he's got it.
However, if you have any HVAC needs, which surely they would have had those in that airplane back. I mean,
No.
you got to keep the cow comfortable while they're.
Who knows?
I wonder if Larry's ever had to install HVAC in any kind of a barn situation or something. Why not? I mean, if it's cold out, I'm sure that they have to keep the animals
Warehouses and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sure. So, because I know Larry, we don't talk about that enough. If you've got a cow,
He does a lot
that
of
needs to
commercial
be-
work. Yeah.
Anyway, let's focus. If you've got any HVAC needs or clean air needs, they both go hand
big
in
time.
hand. It is clean, conditioned air. And you can't do better than calling the good people at Brown Refrigeration, Heating and Air. For one thing, they are it's rock solid. It's easy to take a company for granted that's been around forever and are rock solid. It's kind of like Superman. Until they, you remember when they killed Superman in the 90s? Everybody took Superman for granted until they get rid of him. And it's suddenly like, oh my gosh, this was a jewel of a, whatever. So it's the same with Brown Refrigeration. It's easy to take their reliability and their, for granted. But when you have any HVAC needs, which we all do, especially here in the Mid-South, you can't do better than Brown Refrigeration. They are, for one thing, state of the art. They're always at the cutting edge of technology, and they're always one of the most impressive things with Larry Brown in the time we've known him, Allan, is how technology has changed and how refrigerant changed. And how years ahead of that transition, he was ready for it. They were already laying the groundwork and preparing for it, which I don't know if I think it might have caught some businesses off guard. But that sort of foresight,
not an easy transition, no.
Yeah, that's impressive. And so that's the kind of reliability you want. And, of course, the Remy Halo system is really revolutionary, and it's changing. It's, we're breathing in cleaner air. And, I mean, especially here in the Mid-South with the pollen and just all of the particulates that you can find in the air. Man, the Remy Halo system is just it's revolutionary technology, and it just ties in perfectly with your HVAC system. So and also your HVAC system requires regular maintenance. It's not a bad idea to get them out there once or twice a year for a quick little tune up, or just to give it the once over like you would with your automobile. That way you can avoid a small problem becoming a bigger problem. And also, if your system might be reaching the end of its life, you can start anticipating and getting ready for the new system.
Right.
And they've got great financing if that's the situation. They're just great people, very rock solid, and they answer their phone. And if you're really lucky, Mrs. Brown will answer the phone. So you can call them anytime at 901-362-1881. Or you can go to their very easy-to-remember website, brownref.com. Max, I forgot to remind you of this, but now we're going to discuss Allan's Week in Review.
Oh, the humanity.
Well, with you, it might be that, or it might be something nice. I don't know.
I wanted to give our buddy Barbara a peek behind the curtain. Just let you know who that scream was. That was a goat.
Wait, what?
There was a scream after "Oh, the humanity." That's a goat screaming.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That sounds like a 1930s monster.
Well, that's where the sound effect came from.
Barbara,
Really?
just for you, I'm spoiled that little thing for you.
Yeah, goat scream.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm impressed, Max.
You've
okay.
never annoyed one that much?
I imagine the nightmare. Okay, you're on a farm late at night, and you hear that.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not going to chill your blood.
You need a
Smokes.
goat and a peacock to truly live in a horror movie.
That's the thing, because it's quiet out there in the country, and all of a sudden you hear that.
You ever heard the "I'm here" cry of an Indian peacock?
No.
It sounds like the word "help" being screamed by a murdered person.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
boy.
have that go ripping through your spine at about 2:00 in the morning when you're sitting on your roof.
That is interesting, Max. Barbara, just for you. There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, Allan, was your week, this week that horrifying or chilling?
2 words. You
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
Slime mold.
Okay. I think I know where you're going with that. So, okay.
Okay. If you live within the sound of my voice, you have slime mold.
Well, that's not nice.
Let's just start this conversation off right.
It's not a hygiene thing, right? I mean, that's
if
about
you
your home.
have plumbing,
There you go.
have slime mold.
Right.
Let's end of conversation. Get the shocked look off your face. It's winter. We're going to talk about oil, slime, and fatbergs.
Okay. That was your week, huh?
Welcome to my week dealing with plumbing.
Okay.
Of one poor sink getting replaced, of absolutely horrified my assistant as we took the sink out and pulled everything out, and basically the world's most disgusting chocolate pudding came gooping up out of the drain.
You know, people are eating breakfast right now, Alan, so tread lightly,
and it's
sir.
it's their breakfast that did this.
Right.
So
okay.
welcome to a nice dark slime mold.
Yeah.
So here we go. Slime molds grow everywhere. They exist every place. But this time of year, when it's hot and cold, of a lot of times, just because it's 60 or 70 degrees to you, it's still 40 degrees underground.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you run stuff through your food disposer, or you put something greasy or oily down the drain, this stuff has a tendency to solidify and become food and a slime mold is basically the consistency of pudding.
I mean, that's the circle of life, though, right, Alan?
It's doing its
thing. We need
thing.
slime mold.
We do.
Maybe you just don't
but
want
we don't need them
that close to
clogging
us.
up our drains.
Right. Okay.
So this is where my advocation for go down to your local big box store, hardware store. They now carry all kinds of cute little enzyme cleaners. You don't need the big, harsh chemical stuff. This is natural. This is normal digestive enzymes. They come in these cute little sticks, or you can get a liquid. Drop them down into your sink, into the trap, and they will dissolve slowly, but they will release enzymes that will help break up slime molds and oil and fat and stuff in your drain. And after using them a couple of times, you'll notice your drains probably work a lot faster and easier.
Mm-hmm. It's that slow. It's just that slow, steady maintenance. It's where you don't wait till they clog up and you got to go get the auger to clean it out. Just a little dab every day. It's just kind of like washing your hands. You wouldn't wash your hands once every 6 months, so why not wash your pipes?
We certainly hope.
Right.
I'm throwing this in right now because we've just had a week. For those of you listening outside the Mid-South, we're just far enough north to have winter, and we're just far enough south to not care. We're just kind of in that middle spot. And, you know, we have temperature swings. Temperatures can swing 40 degrees in a day here.
Oh, yeah.
Easily, up or down.
I think they did 2 days ago.
They just did.
Yeah.
So when this happens, if you didn't run enough water down your food disposer after dinner, then you left a lot of material immediately in the line, and stuff begins to grow on it and constricts what your water flow is. And this stuff doesn't necessarily want to wash downstream.
No.
So every so often you need to give it a little bit of help to move it on down. So that has been my big lesson of the week, has involved plumbing, slime molds, and water drainage, because, Joe, they cannot see your lovely swirl effect if the water's not moving properly.
Well, I'm curious. So, because, you know, you work in a commercial facility. I'm just wondering how many things did you... Yeah, so I guess what I'm wondering is this just you get the 5-gallon thing of chemicals or the enzyme? What did you do to combat this? Because, I mean...
Oh, you just get the little package of the little sticks, and you go down, and everybody that's got a sink gets a stick. All the way through.
So it wasn't the nuclear option.
No. This was just the cautionary tale, because I was explaining to people all week long, up and down temperatures mean stuff we don't normally see is growing and living quite happily.
Sure.
Because... well, in the middle of August, you just got through frying bacon, you did this, and now you're doing the dishes, and the grease on the dishes is going down the thing. But it's 80 degrees underground, too. So all of that water and grease and stuff is moving quite nice. Well, right now it's not, because underground is still 40-something degrees, and anything that can clump up is going to.
And it doesn't need much. It just needs that thin layer of greasy stuff. Then the next thing that comes down the drain is going to stick, and then one after the other.
As you discovered with teenagers and toilet paper, volume has a lot to do with how well your pipes and stuff react,
Right.
especially during temperature gradients.
Yep.
Because it's really warm, then it's really cold. This morning, it was cold. There was frost all over my truck. This afternoon, it's going to be in the 50 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, the ground is not going to warm up that much. We are, but the ground's not.
Yeah. Water flow is something that everybody in the house has to think about, because it's just, whoever's job it is to fix it when it clogs up, that person's usually highly motivated. But if everybody just thinks about it, then you won't get to that point where you have to, get the router, the auger and everything to run. Just a little daily maintenance is all it
just
takes.
trying to throw in a little cautionary tale before we get into March. If you got anything that's not draining too fast now, let's go ahead and get it treated. Let's go ahead and look at it so that next month we're not going to be talking about how to find that clean out and get the big auger and go in there and start knocking stuff loose.
Can I say one more thing, Allan?
Absolutely.
Just one thing because I see this, and this is something most people use the garbage disposal just about every day.
Yes.
And when you run stuff through the garbage disposal, please, please, please run it through, run the garbage disposal, turn it off, and then I'd say run that water at least another 10 or so seconds.
Easily.
Just to let it blast that last little bit of residue out of there and clean it up. And a little hot water through there isn't a bad thing either to really break it up.
We don't want to waste water, but we need enough water. And another little trick is if you have a dual sink and you have a food disposer on one side, don't forget to run a little water through the other side, because they connect right down underneath your sink. So a lot of time the food disposer, when it pushes material down, will push stuff under the pipe to the other side of the sink.
Boy, are you preaching to the choir. And boy, did you just trigger me. I forgot about that because, we have our beautiful new farmhouse sink and everything.
Yes, you do.
Before that, we had the exact situation you're talking about. And so the garbage disposal was on the right side. Okay. That thing clogged. The left side that was not the garbage disposal clogged more often than not, because it was exactly what you're saying. The lines underneath are sort of they're connected in a way where food and residue can get through there too. So run it, flow it through both sides for sure.
And that will make sure that things move on down like they're supposed to, and you can keep your water flowing easily and smoothly, especially as we get into open spring here, where according to the daffodils and jonquils in my front yard, spring is about to sprung.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
about there.
We're
here.
We haven't had much of a winter. We've had a few
We've
little
had
shocking
plenty
things,
of winter.
but,
We've had plenty of winter.
People up north are just like,
I know. Somebody in
their eyes at us.
Boston is laughing at me, but I've had enough winter.
Allan, I don't know. This part of your week in review said cleaning a toolbox. Well, that sounds pretty.
And I got to get into that.
That sounds pretty pedestrian, but is this interesting enough for a conversation? Or
it's again another cautionary tale in 30 seconds. Clean that baby out every so often. You're going to find 3 things that you totally haven't lost.
Yeah, no kidding.
You've totally lost. The other one is you might find that ant colony living in the bottom of it.
Well, okay.
That's a true story from not me, but one
I was
going to
say, where are they keeping their toolbox? So,
apparently they're keeping it out in the garage, and things moved into it.
Oh boy.
Now is not a bad time to take that baby, clean it out, and make sure you don't have any food substances or anything down in there. And it's never a bad idea to go ahead and clean up those tools and get them, spray them down with a little WD-40, get them nice and shiny, and get ready for the spring clean season.
It's interesting that you brought this topic up, Allan, because recently, when I say recently, I'm saying 6 months ago, I needed a new toolbox. And the toolboxes I buy are the kind you drop it off of a 30-foot lat, and they're the big heavy duty. So sometimes I could go conceivably 10 years without buying a toolbox. Well, I went to the toolbox aisle, which I walk past it every now and again, but I don't always pay attention to it. It took me about an hour and a half to buy a new toolbox, and the reason is because there were so many choices these days. And
They've changed.
It's a good problem to have. But I mean, there were canvas toolboxes. There were, I mean, they have toolboxes where you lift the lid and it's sort of a mini like the auto mechanics use with the sliding drawers, and then they have plastic, and they have. I mean, it took me a while to decide, and you know, you have to figure which one will fit in the truck easy, which one is easy to carry. You know, it's impressive the choices you have with toolbox, and it's I think it's exciting getting a new toolbox to. And when it's organized and you know exactly where that wrench is and exactly where that you know, chisel is and everything else, it is pretty liberating. I feel like it makes you more productive, and it might encourage you to work with the tools more often. So.
Well, this is one of those little things is of, you know, my toolbox, I know where everything is, but, you know, working with a couple of subs this week, it was kind of looking at one guy, and I was like, dude, seriously, man.
Yeah.
You have stuff living in there. You got to clean that out. Seriously.
Move the old tuna sandwich. And,
oh, my
go under
gosh. Just so much weird stuff in there.
No, I would say, you know, that is something, it sounds very mundane, but actually getting it, that might be the spark you need to kind of get you productive again, is having your toolbox organized. And it's just, you know, it's more civilized, let's face it. So
yeah,
take care of your tools, take care of your toolbox. So, all right, Allan, hour 1 is in the can. I don't know where that went, but hour 2, boy, am I looking forward to this. Great moments in building history. We're going to talk about the $5 billion construction of Apple Park in Cupertino, California. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, like our friends Agent 732 and Keith did earlier in the show. I have to say, though, Agent 732, I think Keith might have beat you to the punch today. That was so we learned, Max, I don't know how you missed this one. You told us today's International Hippo Day, which is great. We all love our hippos.
Wednesday, yeah.
However, somehow he missed that today is also National Milking a Cow in an Airplane Day.
Well,
I mean, it's difficult to pronounce acronym, but still just as noteworthy. So,
yeah, well, you know, it's the float goes by.
Yeah. So if you missed any of that epic conversation, never fear. You know, all of our shows are saved, Allan. They can listen.
They
to
are
them.
Indeed.
Pink Floyd needs to make a song about, forget about pigs, now talk about cows.
Yeah. I mean, and why hasn't Hollywood picked up this?
They will now.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're not going to get a check, but they will now.
Yeah. But check out all our past shows. You go to tooltalkradio.com. You can go to Spotify. You can go to YouTube, wherever, you know, any platform you choose, and check out the past shows and then learn all about, you know, and tell us how you're celebrating National Milking a Cow from an Airplane Day. Hopefully safely. We don't need any
please
bovine accidents right now.
We do not need a bovine incident.
Yeah. So, all right, Allan, we got quite a bit to get to, so let's get to it. So here we go, Max. Allan, I've got our must-have item of the week here. Tell people what I'm holding up.
Well,
it's
you're
a little
either
mutilated.
holding up a prop from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or you're holding up a punch chisel.
See, I wondered
how
if
do they
I
let you through the door?
Yeah, if I had a wooden version of this, it would be the perfect vampire slaying tool.
It's got got a safety handle on it and everything.
Well,
basically, you have an industrial-sized punch chisel designed to be whacked by a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I was doing a big demo job this week, Allan, and I needed to bust through concrete and all this, and I had to do it in an inside situation because normally breaking out concrete, you just grab the sledgehammer and it'll take care of business. But this one, I have to finesse it a little because I'm dealing with you know, things flying around and, you know, all that. But as you can see, if you go to our Facebook page, the tip of this punch chisel broke off. So what I'm going to do, Allan, is I'm going to take my grinder and just grind it down to a nice little reasonable bevel and do that. But
it'll still
Allan,
break.
I'm a big advocate when you're using chisels are great to have, but boy, you need the right size for the right job.
Yes.
And I am a big advocate. There's this big orange safety guard on there because boy, does when you whack the side of your hand with a hammer, you'll remember
it's not pleasant. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I didn't do that either, but most of the damage was averted because of this great safety guard. And I don't remember, I don't know how recent of a development is. I think these guards only came along within the last 20 years or so, right? I mean, I in the old days, you just swung and
I got 2 or 3 of them don't have those guards on them, trust me.
Yeah, but it's a great tool, and they have a variety. They have different, chisels, but I would say the one thing is choose the right size. Sometimes bigger is not better. I feel like the more narrow chisel heads and all that give you more versatility, and then it's more focused energy, right, Alan? Because that swing is hitting a small area, and
that's the whole idea is pounds per square inch, or in this case, point of impact.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I'm going to throw in is do not get chintzy on the eye protection.
Oh, yeah.
Because stuff is going to fly in directions you can't even imagine.
I can't even imagine the flyback from whatever vampires you might be staking.
Oh, yeah. You know what else? This is a good time to have a little bit higher quality mask, dust mask on, because the mask I had that. It was it was more of like a painter's mask, and it had the it was stiffer, and it had more the little ventilation thing in the front, and things were hitting that all day, and it's like that would have been hitting my face. So it's like, definitely have the eye protection to go with it. But that's our must-have item of the week, and I would say a couple of these in varying sizes will serve you for most of your demolition needs.
Well, they're also halfway decent as a little small kind of pry bar. You can kind of get up underneath something and lift it a little bit.
Yeah.
I've also used them as indestructible spacers. Well, when you're trying to do something heavy and you need that little half-inch of space or whatever, you can wedge them
lift
under
it
there.
up. Yep.
And then you can get the hammer and knock it out from underneath it without damaging the chisel.
Yeah.
Because it's, almost indestructible, as Joe has proven.
Absolutely.
Almost.
So if you're curious, if you're still trying to picture what this looks like, just go to our Facebook page. Go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook, and you can see what it looks like. So, all right. Hey, you know who? I bet you he's got a handful of these chisels in his arsenal. That's our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling, who, as we've said, there's sort of an evolution in his business. He is now really laser focused on not just his roofing and remodeling work, but the exterior protection of your home, the armor plating, you could say.
Yes.
Roofs, gutters, siding, and windows. I mean, we talk about water is the enemy, keeping the elements outdoors. He's got systems from top to bottom now. Alan. It's pretty cool. And he was taking appointments last week for he's going to be a pretty busy guy right now. But especially with roofing especially. We are always impressed with his, he's just like our buddy Larry Brown in terms of being up on the latest technology and the latest systems, and especially these roofing systems with GAF. We should say he is a master elite installer with GAF, which is not something you just, everybody is, you have to be qualified for this. 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau, 5 stars with Good Housekeeping. Apparently, he's never gotten worse than a 5-star review. And you can understand it when you see how passionate he is about the work that gets done through Big M Roofing and Remodeling. But the other great thing about Jay is that you may be in a situation where maybe some of this work is going to be covered by your homeowner's insurance, but maybe you're just not sure. Well, Jay is a former insurance agent, and he knows all of the protocols, and he knows how to see if you've got a path forward with that. Because really, when you're entering into a situation of having to make a claim with your homeowner's insurance, it's a process, and it's not an easy process. And
it's a whole language of having an advocate,
right,
that actually speaks the forms, the lingo, and just the little minor details of the things they talk about. It is very fascinating to watch, especially when you have somebody speaking that language for you.
Well, the other thing is too, when you call Jay, he's a riot anyway. Okay, you're going to be on the phone with him 5 minutes, and within that 5 minutes, you're probably going to discover that you guys know 10 of the same people because he knows everybody in Memphis.
Yes.
But also, it's a scary process. It is a bit intimidating when you've got to make a homeowner's claim, and he makes the process actually pretty enjoyable, and it's a comforting feeling. I mean, like I said, you and I have both had our roofs replaced with Jay through that process, and we can attest he took care of business, and it was really he took what was a major problem for me and made it into something manageable. And now every time I go out and look at my new roof from Big M Roofing and Remodeling, I just get this, I get comments still. Our neighbors love the roof. They walk by and say how great it is. So you can call Jay anytime directly at 901-484-5645. And we mean directly. That's his direct line. Or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Allan, I have been really, really looking forward to this conversation. So let's roll, Max.
And now, great moments in building history.
Allan, sometimes the algorithms on YouTube are your friends. I mean, sometimes I know they're spying on us, and I know that they read our minds. And I was not looking for this, and I hate to admit I'd never heard of Apple Park. That's what we're going to talk about today. Apple Park over in Cupertino, California, which is a little bit north. So, I mean, some people have this blanket view of California. I know people just think it's a desert, it's beautiful, it's warm. Well, no. As you get north, the climate changes quite a bit. It's cooler. They get a lot more rain, like up at the San Francisco area and everything like that. But Cupertino really is a beautiful place, and that's where Steve Jobs is from. And say what you will about Steve Jobs, he's sort of a controversial figure. The guy, love him or hate him, he's a visionary. Let's face it. I can't think of too many people that have changed the world more. Well, I should say, is the smartphone. It's got to be one of the most revolutionary inventions ever, even beyond like the iPod and things like that. I mean, we all have some version of that in our pocket.
Let's go back to where it is Steve and his buddy of
Wozniak.
the Woz.
Yeah.
And the Wozniak, and they're sitting around, and they are literally in like their dorm room,
right,
inventing the Apple computer.
Humble beginnings.
So I mean, let's just say that what we're about to talk about began in somebody's closet in a bedroom,
right? Yeah,
and it's just a couple of guys and a few friends sitting around going, "All right, we can make this work."
Yeah.
And now let's suddenly we snap forward, and it's about 2017, 2018?
Well, so here let me read the pertinent information, Allan, since I gave all the basically the process started in terms of it was about an 8-year process of design to completed construction. And so it really I would say things really got underway in about 2011, but they were designing it for a couple years. 2011, he made the pitch to have this happen, and then it was completed in 2017. So what's interesting, first of all, it's on the former grounds of Hewlett-Packard, which is a very sentimental area to Steve Jobs, because I guess before it was Hewlett-Packard, it was like an orchard, like an apricot orchard or something like that. Then Hewlett-Packard bought it. They outgrew it, and so Apple bought up the land. And so one thing about Steve Jobs, he did not invent this saying, but this is in terms of his design philosophy and in terms of just his, you could say, just outlook on life. It's this phrase: simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I'd say that's a guiding design philosophy for Apple. And I wholeheartedly endorse that. I love that phrase.
I'd also say that for him, I'd quote the Bauhaus, which is a famous German architectural school. It's God is in the details.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, but a simple structure is sort of, or a simple design, in the iPhone, you look at that, how much simpler could you get, or an iPad. But so he wanted that same sensibility for Apple Park. So this is, folks, if you can picture, this is 176 acres of prime real estate in Northern California. I don't even know what that costs, Allan. I mean, we're talking...
Well, according to the tax assessor, it's about $4 billion.
Yeah, because this is a $5 billion project. So, and I bet you it went even beyond. I think that it probably went beyond that. But there's several structures, but I think the one we're probably going to zero in on the most, Allan, is called in the middle of Apple Park is this structure called the Ring. And folks, I don't know how to describe it's either get on YouTube or go to our Facebook page and see the video that I posted there about this. It's really,
a giant UFO.
Really interesting.
When you look at it, the first thing that's going to come to mind is any number of movies where aliens have landed.
It's very cool looking though, but the thing about it is when he went to the planning committee, the standard. Okay, so let's suppose you just bought 176 acres of prime real estate, and he's got 12,000 employees that have to work on this campus. Right. Your inclination would be, I guess, even the standard sort of rule was, okay, we're going to have about 80% building and 20% landscape, and plants and stuff. Well, he completely flipped the model. If you look at Apple Park from above, it almost looks like a park, like a forested area. It's 80% landscaping and 20% buildings, and yet it still houses their 12,000 employees. It's a 2,800,000 square foot structure is the Ring and everything. Well, but man, there is just so much interesting stuff here. So I figured maybe we could start with the Ring and work our way across the campus.
Well, all right. We learned from the Pentagon that of just a giant warehouse is very big. However, a Pentagon gave us the ability to kind of shortcut back and forth across the area.
Bingo.
So we can get from one thing to the other. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to stretch that out because the circumference of this thing is almost a mile.
Yeah, if you walk around, because we should say it's also Apple Park is a monument to glass technology. But the entire structure of the Ring, if you're walking on the walkway on the inside or the outside, it's full glass. I mean, they said this is they set several world records. Among them is the largest curved glass structure in the world, by far. It's, every pane of glass has got a curve on it. And so you're either looking into this really beautiful courtyard that's got orchards and gardens, and I think they have 9,000 different kind of plants in that, just in that Apple Park, and they've got a performance area and everything. And then if you're walking around the outside, it's the same thing. It just looks like forested land, but it's glass from floor to ceiling, which that's not such an easy thing to achieve either. I don't know what they said. There's a special chemical process they use to create this glass to be that durable and that.
Well, you go back in time of a lot of the technology that you see here was actually has its roots, are you ready? In lighthouses.
Oh, interesting.
Well, because we had to have an extremely durable glass that would allow light to pass through it. So there were a wide variety of different glass mixtures, a.k.a. the items that went into it.
Right.
Most famous, of course, would be something like, if we want to talk about leaded crystal.
Oh, yeah.
That's where glass has literally lead added to it to create a certain effect.
Yep.
So that's what we're talking about here, is taking a lot of technologies from 100 or 200 years ago and honestly pushing them forward into the future.
Yeah.
So when you walk through this thing, the diameter across, just in building this thing alone, is almost a third of a mile.
I'm going to tease something a little bit, but I'm not going to say exactly what. But going back to a couple 100 years in the past, well, there are things that Steve Jobs actually used in this compound that actually go back about 1,000 years.
That's true.
Put a pin in that, Max, because I was going to throw that to you in a minute, because there is something to do with earthquake prevention. So stand by, Max. But Allan, I want to pick up on one little thing you mentioned, because this was fully intentional. You talked about the Pentagon. Well, if you're in the Pentagon, and we all, I think, know what it looks like. If you, instead of walking around the entire building, you might cut through the courtyard. Well, the courtyard at the Ring at Apple Park was designed specifically with that in mind. Like, one of the things that is built into the design of Apple Park is they want employees to have employees at every level. They want the top guys and the bottom guys to all frequently interact. So what they said was to spark the free flow of ideas and encourage chance meetings with in other words, they want all the employees to somehow mingle, and that's where new ideas come from, and that's where innovation comes from. So I'm fascinated with the notion that the design is built with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of all of their ideas, that they have one restaurant for the entire. It's just this massive 54,000 square foot restaurant. They have it reminds me of home design, that you should, look at what are the dynamics of your home? Is it going to encourage the family to work together, or maybe you need something where if you're working from home, you need that isolated space or something. But the notion of the behavior that it's going to spark is very interesting to me. So.
And there's a kind of a weird limitation to this because of the sheer number of people that work there.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided to go out and wide and circular instead of up.
Right. Well, they also wanted this to be pleasant to look at if you're driving by. They don't want this to just be a big
it's only
spectacle.
There's only 4 stories.
When you drive by, it looks like you're driving by a park. I mean, all you see are the trees and the plants.
Right.
You barely
this
see
thing does not go
right.
up and tower like a monolith over the area.
Yeah.
It is restrained. So as you're driving up to it, it doesn't really appear to be that big.
No, it's deceptive.
Go all the way around it. It's absolutely, when you see it from the air, it's massive.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're driving up, you do not drive up to a look at Max and go one of his grand buildings that is big and blocky, and he likes that
brutalist.
He likes that brutalist idea.
I don't know that you can see very much concrete on this place.
You almost can't, because really all you see are supports, and in many ways it reminds me of the original Memphis airport.
Oh, is that what I wasn't here for the original.
The original Memphis airport, if you go behind the adjunct and look at it,
mm-hmm.
it looks like a tray of martini glasses.
Oh, very interesting.
So it's one of these very avant-garde looks. So when you're looking at this thing from the outside, again, the word simple is a little bit misleading. There's nothing simple about what they did. However, the end result is simple. And as I've told people in the computer world a million times, the more complex it is in the background,
mm-hmm.
the easier it is on the user.
I'd say that's it. Simplicity for the user and the viewer's perspective. I mean, you look at a phone, like I said, and I will say, I mean, we're not here to plug Apple, but the smartphone is pretty intuitive. It's funny how easy it is to swipe and all that stuff. But
this might portend what is going to happen with renewable energies and house batteries and all that in the very near future.
I want to say this too, Allan, real quick, because the top of the entire top of the ring is covered with solar panels.
Yes,
you would
is.
never know it because they look beautiful. I mean, it looks like you said, a spaceship. I was amazed by this. It generates 75% of the electricity that they need.
Yes.
That's shocking for
That's
something that
lot.
big. There's more to unpack here. This is a really interesting topic, and we would highly encourage you to go learn more about Apple Park. It's really interesting. We're going to continue the conversation here at Tool Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I've been cooped up in the studio too long. I've forgotten what it's like to be outside working next to men who know what they're doing.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Yeah, Max, that's an experience you'll never understand. Sorry, you're stuck in the studio, and that's the way it's going. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook page. Check out the posts we've made there, including the discussion we're having right now, all about Apple Park. I knew we'd get a lot of mileage out of this. This construction is fascinating. And if you're just tuning in, get on YouTube or go to our Facebook page, watch the video. It's a really interesting construction completed in 2017, and there was so much thought that went into this. And the one thing that keeps coming back to me, Allan, is it was designed to promote employee interaction, and the free flow of ideas through chance meetings. Everything about this was so well thought out. And when you see it from an aerial view, or if you just visit it, the structures just look simple. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and but there's nothing simple about them. But there was a lot of thought about also being sustainable, Allan, and we mentioned how 75% of it is fueled by all of their electricity needs are taken care of by the solar panels on the roof. But you were very fascinated with the with the airflow technology. It's ingenious airflow.
Do they use the Remy Halo system?
They probably do, but
they actually
also use,
have quite a few UVC systems built into the thing. The biggest thing is, of course, where they're located is a very docile climate.
What do you mean by that?
It's not like here in the Mid-South.
Yeah.
In the Mid-South, we have hot, dry, cold, wet. We have winds. We have 0 degrees. We have snowstorms. Cupertino is a relatively weather-wise semi-stable. They have all 4 seasons, but within some limitations. So they're not really looking for extreme weather. So that helps a lot on their air conditioning.
Yeah.
Because if you built this thing over here in the South or in the Mid-South, you would be moving millions of cubic feet of air per minute just to keep the air breathable.
Just really quick, I just want to say something, Allan. When I was younger, I moved from Chicago to San Diego, and the one thing that I experienced out there, which I had never experienced anywhere, is you'd be at a party or something, and you could have the doors wide open to your house, and there was no mosquitoes, there was no whatever. The humidity was not an issue.
Lack of humidity.
Cupertino's a little north, so they do get some humidity, but as you said, it's pretty stable. But they use that to their advantage here, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So because of A, the weather, and B, some good filtration systems, I understand they only really quote unquote run the air conditioning very little. It's like a fourth of the year, maybe?
3 years, 3 months out of the year, they use their HVAC system. They might even have to kick the heat on it once in a while, but the airflow technology comes in through those giant round windows that we discussed earlier, or they close the vents or something. Right. But just the shape of the building, I guess, lends itself to air being moved through there. You know how you talked about Raiders Stadium? They had a similar technology with the way air moves, and they're just using nature to cool the building or to warm it, which I love that concept.
Well, and this
passive heat, airflow.
And we're seeing more of that in modern home construction also. We're seeing vaulted ceilings. We're seeing rounded areas.
Yeah.
We're seeing larger glass areas in modern homes.
Sure. Yeah. Because sometimes that gives you a thermal property. If you're up north, that glass lets heat in and it warms up the system. So, but Max, one of the big things, California is noted for dealing with earthquakes. So earthquake prevention or earthquake, dealing in the design of this, they had to take that into account. And this sort of fascinated you, right? So.
Well, it harkened back to another great moment in building history that we did a while back, that with a structure called Horyuji in Japan, which is more than 1,000 years old. And one of the reasons this wooden temple has been able to survive so long is because of an ingenious thing called BIT, or BIT, base isolation technology.
Yeah, which I mean, that's 1,000 years old, but it's basically the concept of this building has got a lot of movement. I mean, I've heard it can move up to 4 feet if the situation calls for it. Can you imagine that? A round build? Because it's based using that technology.
Which essentially was like, if we're kind of recapping the structure, it's the fact that the floors aren't connected to each other. They rest on top of each other.
Right. Yeah, they described it in this one video I watched where there's almost these, I can't remember, 700 or 7,000 little dome. I don't know. We can't really unpack it on the radio other than to say they built in flexibility to this structure. And I don't know what level earthquake it can withstand, but it sounds like it's going to be there for the, and from the look of it, like I said, there's orchards, there's plants. I feel like, boy, if the grid ever went down, you could just stay at Apple Park. I mean, there's food, there's...
Well, and part of the design of this, and this is going to be possibly a design copied by other companies in the future, it is actually designed to get you up out of your chair.
Oh, yeah. They
So
don't want
you
you just
should-
sitting at your desk all
You
day.
should go walk. You should mingle. You should use the facilities of. They have workout rooms. Like you said, they have one gargantuan restaurant. They do not have executive suites where, the executives eat on the fourth floor and the rest of the people eat on the first floor.
Right.
They want you to mingle and rub elbows and that. But the biggest thing is they want you to move.
And if you're more productive, where you grab your laptop and you go sit in the courtyard under an apple tree, they're fine with it. They don't care. Just
They've
it's
got a
task
spot
oriented.
for you.
You
Yep.
just right. So it to me that notion. I mean, it makes me want to go visit. I'd love to. There's a visitor center, but I guess it's not open to the public. I don't know if we could somehow sneak into Apple Park, Allen, and infiltrate and check it out.
I
But,
promise with my computer background, they're never going to let me in that building, period.
yeah, exactly.
To make a basic quote about why they don't give tours is because it is an open concept building. They have no way of keeping you out of trade secrets.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Let's
it
face
is
it.
an
That's
open-
where all the development comes from. And
Well, and I'm going to tie that back to your house again. There are more and more people enjoying the open concept home that has fewer rooms, just a bigger mass living area.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is an idea being embraced by one of the largest companies in the world.
I mean, that's also what makes the going back, because they even said Steve Jobs was inspired by Japanese architecture. Well, whether he thought about it or not, he was also kind of inspired by Japanese architecture, because Japanese architecture way back in the day was very open concept. You have most of the furniture would be against the walls and everything rather than like in the middle of it. And so you just have space and emptiness. And there's a piece to emptiness because it's like you're not cluttered by a bunch of stuff around you. So it's sort of the idea of a cluttered desk is a cluttered mind. Well, an empty empty workroom is an empty mind.
Yeah, or open, maybe
Open
open's
mind.
better. So yeah, and feng shui, all that good stuff. So, but Allen, I don't want to run out of time before we discuss the Steve Jobs Theater, because that is that I think will tie into the future of home improvement, because there's two important aspects to this. So, folks, if you can picture this, the Steve Jobs Theater, if you've ever seen these Apple announcements where they're like, okay, this is the next big thing, it's always in that theater. It seats about 1,000 people. Well, that theater is underground.
Yes.
The part I wanted to talk about is where you enter the theater. It really does almost look like a spaceship, or it's like a combination spaceship and mushroom. And what it is, it's just a round structure completely made of glass on the side. The walls, everything is glass. And then on the top is just this, it's a round carbon fiber, smooth, just very sleek looking roof. And they said that it's the only structure of its kind in the world. And the fact that this roof is completely supported by glass, which is where I was going, the way glass is tempered and the way the structural properties of glass are changing. Because, I mean, if you notice in current home design, you do see a lot of you see bigger uses of glass. You have massive glass, almost walls, you could say. But this one was interesting to me, Allen, combining the strength of that glass and the carbon fibers, especially, because you talk about carbon fiber a lot. I think that's going to be a revolutionary development for us. So
we can go all the way back to Jules Verne in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, when they were looking out of windows on the Nautilus, and Captain Nemo went, "Oh, you would be surprised the power of glass." And just simply talking about how magnificent his glass makers were, because this is kind of a weird thing. Glass makers way back in the day were a valuable, highly valued commodity. Anybody that can make anything out of glass.
I could see that.
And
that's a very specialized thing.
As we have moved forward, and now you look at a smartphone or any of these devices, and we are still so reliant on glass. And now, layered technology, we're getting into different kinds of fiber, and I'll pick on plywood for a moment. Plywood is just basically chipped wood, waste wood, whatever you want to call it, that's been relayered and laminated and relayered and laminated, and now it is infinitely stronger than any natural grained wood.
Yeah, because you crisscross the grain, so you have it.
There's not a
that's
breaking point. There's not a weak point in plywood.
Could you explain that? Because carbon fiber, we hear it a lot, but I don't know if people visualize why that's so. Well, it's lightweight, but like really strong. Maybe
it is. I'm trying to give the best example I can here. Plywood is a great visual because when you look in the side of it, you see the different layers going different directions. Mm-hmm. When you start talking about carbon fiber as a building material, this is the exact same idea, just much, much thinner. And because of the way the fibers can be woven, mm-hmm. can be produced, can be any variety of strengths. So when you begin doing this stuff, and then the other idea is that we have got hydraulic presses capable of literally thousands of tons of pressure. So that when we're making these materials today, we have manufacturing processes you couldn't imagine 100 years ago.
Sure.
So now we are able to produce very thin, very strong, and in the case of things like Kevlar, so strong it can resist a bullet.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, welcome to the marriage of old and new. Old technologies like glass brought up to date, the physics of how to distribute weight,
yes.
the physics of how to heat and cool and expand, of the basic ideas of how to survive an earthquake.
Sure.
These are all in one building, one construction at one time. And the whole idea behind it is to also have a very sustainable footprint.
Well, because carbon fiber is not going to rust. It's not going to rot. It's going to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. Carbon fiber does fascinate me because, like, for one thing, just perfect example. The other day, a friend of mine was showing me their racing, you know, these bikes, the real
yes.
hardcore with the wheels that are super
yes.
thin and all that. Well, when I was a kid, you know, we were into the BMX biking.
Right.
And the first thing you did, it sounds funny, but if you went to see your friend's new bike, you picked it up and you wanted to see how heavy it was because the lighter weight, the more you could do jumps. And so the lighter your bike was, the more
the cooler
impressive
the stuff you could do. Yeah.
This bike, I couldn't. It was shocking. You picked it up. It was like a feather. There was nothing
like 2
to
pounds.
it,
Yeah.
and it looked like it was made of metal. But they said no. This is a carbon fiber bike,
yes.
and so the lightweight and the durability and the strength is what impresses me. And this isn't going to rust. It's not metal. It's not.
Well,
I mean, I really do think carbon fiber is a revolutionary technology that's going to continue to impact us. You know.
Well, we're somewhere in the early years of it. I'm not going to say we're at the birth of fiber technology. We're not. Mm-hmm. But we aren't to the teenage years yet. We haven't really expanded into how far carbon, Kevlar, graphene, and a variety of other fiber technologies can take us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, when it comes to building, what does that mean for us? Well, that means probably a lot more prefabricated materials like plywoods, and we've got melamine, and we've got all kinds of recycled materials. You can now build a deck basically out of recycled car tires.
Sure.
That will last
and they don't rot.
Hundreds of years
right.
as opposed to 20 or 30.
Yep.
So we're getting into less of an impact and less degradation in our products.
Oh, yeah.
And because he doesn't have a giant concrete building, he is not going to run into a lot of the giant concrete building problems.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, you think about it, this building is massive. It's huge, but the weight distribution on it is absolutely phenomenal. It's not like a skyscraper. It's not pressing straight down into the bedrock.
No. It's really interesting construction. There's more to say. I mean, we don't want to eat up the whole show talking about, but I would encourage you, get on YouTube. There's some things. The center of the courtyard is they have like a stage area. I mean, they hold concerts, they hold special events
yes.
there, big announcements. There are bike racks everywhere. If you need to ride across campus, you just grab a bike and ride
yep.
across campus. The underground parking is what fascinated me. They have They didn't want to disrupt the view with a parking garage, so they have an underground 2-story parking garage. It's pretty impressive, Al. It's
the size of Disneyland.
And you would want to drive through this parking garage just for kicks because it looks so cool, and it's just I would say they pulled out all the stops on this, but Apple Park just looks like it's sustainable. It's interesting. It's got great design concepts, and you could do well to implement some of those in your own home. I mean, you talk about having a concept and considering the way the house is going to be used. Well, I'm going to be following this place with great interest.
Just glass and window technology alone. Can make a huge difference to your home.
Absolutely. So that was a good one, Alan. And like I said, the algorithms found me. They just sent me this, and I responded. So whoever you are, you evil AI, send me something good for next week. So, but Alan, we need to shift gears. So before we do that, I don't want to neglect to plug our own stuff. So let's talk, Alan, with darkoakmedia.com. What is darkoakmedia.com up to this week?
This week, a big hit, of course, the show from last week where we were live. Is getting a lot of airplay.
Well, have you already edited that? Because I know Scott J. Carroll was interviewing people and getting footage from the home shit. So is he already...
well, that isn't done yet, but our show was edited and up. So feel free to listen to us live. Just pop on to tooltalkradio.com. The other big thing we've got going on at Dark Oak Media is a couple of episodes of Cooking in a Tiny Kitchen got released.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, that's very different. Cooking in a Tiny Kitchen is absolutely a scream because a lot of us don't have great kitchens.
Yeah,
we don't live on HGTV, so you are not limited. It's just by your imagination. So you can pop on and watch Scott J. Carroll do cake cookies and make his world famous Coney Island hot dog sauce.
Coney Island hot dog
Man,
sauce.
that is some stuff. I like that.
He's
from New Jersey originally, so he is all about those Coney Island hot dogs.
Okay. All right. So there you go, folks. That's reason enough to tune in. Coney Island hot dog sauce.
It is good.
Over there at darkoakmedia.com. And, of course, if you're a content creator and, and you're out there and you want to make the definitive documentary about National Milking a Cow on an Airplane Day, Alan will probably put you on his channel.
I'll hook you up.
Okay. Plugging my stuff, Alan, I want to say that if you've, I don't know, I don't want to put, okay, never mind. I have another announcement to make, but I won't make it today. But if you've got a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or a screened-in porch or just really any outside project requiring carpentry, any woodworking project for the outside of your home, give me a call. That's what I live for. I mean, I enjoy these, and I'm already lining up projects for the spring and summer for people. Some fairly interesting.
Oh, good.
But I'll just put it out there. One person wants me to build them a catio.
Cool. I am so in on that with you.
Well, this is a cat lady.
Yes.
She knows who she is. I won't give her name over the radio, but she's this is one of these. If she's walking down the street and there's an abandoned cat, she's going to wind up saving it. Right. And we're talking, this might have to accommodate up to 15 cats.
All right.
I don't know that I want to specialize in this, but it's going to be a fun project.
You and I have talked about construction for animals in the past. I will so give you a hand with that.
Yeah. Well, and folks, I'm going to put this out there because I built a cat condo a couple years ago, and I've done some different things for pets, giving them secret entrances and things like that. But if you've got any advice, I'll take it. Get in touch with me. So either way, if you need a catio or you need something weird like that for the outside of your home, or just normal, standard things, get in touch with me and call me directly at 901-921-7105 or go to my website, thorshomes.com. All right, guys, why don't we share some tool tales?
I don't have any music, just let you know.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. Okay.
Thanks
for the high production value over there. So.
No, just so that he doesn't wait with bated breath.
Well, we were talking last week. I believe I teased this, which, but then the conversation got diverted. I didn't know Mrs. Brown was going to be so interesting and
well, there you go.
whatever. So we didn't get to this, but we all got a few tool tales. I think I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine is a tale of flying sparks, and mine is to do with my nifty grinding wheel. And we've talked about the grinding wheel in the past. Folks, if you don't know, I mean, you can go to your big box store, and usually they come in. There'll be two. There's two wheels, and it's as simple as it could be. It's got a little fence that you rest the device against. It's usually adjustable, and it's got a little glass guard that covers it. And all it does is it spins, and it's got a grinding wheel. One is a little coarser than the other, and one is a little for fine detail work. But man, there are fewer things more satisfying than having, like, maybe you've got that old chisel at the bottom of the toolbox that's all dented up, or maybe like something like what I've got, where I've got a punch chisel that I broke the tip off of,
Right.
which is about to become just a bevel chisel now, Alan. But
Okay.
man, working with a grinder is so much fun. But this, folks, definitely get your safety glasses. Don't do this near a gas can or anything
Lord,
flammable,
yes.
because sparks will fly. But there's something, man, you feel like you're almost in Lord of the Rings or something when you're doing this. You've had grinding wheel experiences, haven't you, Alan?
Yes, I have on
It's
many,
fun.
many projects. And I have to tell you, especially right around dusk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you're up on that ladder, and you're on that top of that where you got to smooth off those welds, and you're up there, and you're just spraying fire across the safety covered area.
Yeah.
It is very impressive looking.
It's fun. And then, of course, one thing that's important when you've got a grinding wheel is keep a cup of water or keep a little thing, because as that material gets hot, especially if you're doing it without gloves or something, for one thing, it's not good to let it get too overheated. But
Right.
if you do it for any length of time, you're going to go, wow, this thing's hot. And then it's kind of satisfying too. You dip it into the water, you get this impressive
good
plume
hiss.
of steam.
Yeah.
And then you get back to it. But the grinding wheel is super cool. So, Alan, I don't think we have time to get to the rest of the tool tales today. I don't want to cut yours short, but folks,
we'll keep talking about grinders. They are fun,
Yeah.
but I will throw this in. Be shockingly careful with what you're doing and know where your hands are. And I know that sounds like a dumb statement to say, but it's not.
Well, the other thing is, don't do it with loose clothing.
No.
Don't have loose sleeve. If you've got long hair, keep it behind you,
bunch it
because
up.
that thing.
It's going to eat it.
But it's it's an inexpensive tool. You can probably get
It's a
one even for
simple, easy
60 or
tool,
70
but
bucks.
it is so dangerous.
But they're handy, and I suppose if you're really good, you could probably sharpen a lot of other things that we're not going to mention on the air because we don't want to get sued. But,
That's true.
I wish the grinders could sharpen your wit.
Okay.
Oh, put on pump.
Thanks, Max. Okay.
Shots fired. He just had to get one in. He was
Had
so
to get that
disappointed
dig.
about that music.
Anyway, hey, Alan, another interesting episode of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but it's time to get out of here. So we sure appreciate you listening, and look forward to seeing you next week. So until next week, I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Alan Gilbert and our buddy Max behind the glass, and we'll see you next week. It's a weird sign off.